Welcome to the Ben Buzz. I'm Benny King, and we had another very interesting week of college football. Some really great upsets again, some really great ranked matchups again. We didn't really have that too much in week two. Still a solid week, but this week was huge. And it was definitely up to par with week one in terms of ranked matchup, in terms of upsets. Very interesting, very awesome. And it's just very great to have college football back, and especially at this level and just seeing like all the upsets and the ranked matchups, like it's a really great time of year, and it's definitely feels great to have football back in our lives after so many months without it. And once again for this reaction, Jack will once again be joining the show. Thanks for joining, Jack.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was a great week of college football, and happy to talk about it.
Yeah, same here. It really was a great week, and there's a lot of interesting games. First one I want to talk about is Wisconsin at number 14 Alabama. Now, this was huge for Alabama. This is another Big Ten against SEC matchup. We only had two going into this with Ohio State beating Texas and then Oklahoma defeating Michigan. So this was huge for Alabama, even though Wisconsin wasn't super great. They were undefeated going into this, and just on the road especially. Alabama really needed to win this one, and they definitely came out knowing that and won 38-14. This was a game I was still pretty hesitant on Alabama, and I didn't think Wisconsin was that great, but I ended up picking Wisconsin. Probably shouldn't have, but I just really wasn't high on Alabama. And I know Wisconsin's not great, but I mean, they easily won this one 38-14, but I think they're ranking number 14. That's pretty egregious, but Alabama had a solid win this week, Jack.
Yeah, it was. It was a very dominant win, and I didn't think it was going to be like a big blowout. I know that was kind of the spread was they were favored by 30 points over Wisconsin, which I thought was a little too much, but I saw your prediction and it was crazy. I mean, this is a down for year for Alabama. Everyone knows that. But yeah, still, and yeah, I am surprised by the 5 spot jump for Alabama, but we'll get into that later. Yeah, but it was a very good one for them. And that's one more game over the Big Ten that they have, like last week when
Right?
Oklahoma beat Michigan. So yeah,
Right. And I definitely agree. It was a little odd of me to pick Wisconsin, but I was kind of looking through my predictions, and I had kind of been a lot more reserved with mine and hadn't really taken huge leaps for upsets. So I wanted to differentiate it and try to make those sort of leaps and really pick more upsets this week, which ended up paying off with this next game where Clemson went on the road at number 18 Georgia Tech, and this one did pay off. Georgia Tech is one of those teams, like, they're never ranked or they're usually sitting on the outskirts, but they're always hungry and they always come in, and they seem to always make a ranked team struggle. And really, I mean, you just look over the past couple of years where they took Georgia to like six overtimes, and they beat Florida State. And then the year before they beat Miami in a crazy game. And this was huge for them, especially against a Clemson team that, while has been looking worse, and this of course propelled Clemson right out. Clemson, we'll get to Clemson, but oh my goodness. I don't even know what to say about Clemson, but a huge win for Georgia Tech, 24-21. Haynes King, the QB, very impressive showing by Georgia Tech.
yeah, 100%. I mean, they stuck in the whole game and this. We definitely saw this coming because Clemson
Right.
they dropped the first one to LSU. That was LSU kind of controlled the whole game, and then they for 3 quarters Troy was kind of killing them until they came back against them, and then finally this game where we knew there was kind of going to be an upset because this Clemson
Right.
team has talent, but just they just can't put everything together against these teams, and we knew they were gonna drop one soon enough. So yeah,
Right. And this even puts into doubt of LSU, who that was their huge win
yeah,
against Clemson. And they haven't done that great against their other opponents, but it was still huge. It's like, well, we got that win against Clemson. We start to kind of worry maybe about LSU. We'll get to that later. But Georgia Tech, I mean, they are this underdog team, and it feels like it keeps happening. Where you look at last year in week one when Florida State was ranked and they beat them in Ireland. The year before when they beat them they beat Miami off of that crazy play. Jackie, if you remember, when Miami continued to run the ball when they should have kneeled it, and the guy fumbles,
Hmm.
and then
Yes.
Georgia Tech goes down and scores a touchdown and wins the game. Like, and they probably should have beaten Georgia last year. So it's like Georgia
Hmm.
Tech feels like they're this really hungry underdog team that always comes to these matchups ready. And it was so huge for them that they were at home. And this was definitely one of the more predictable ones because Georgia Tech is known for this. They're known as this hungry underdog team that is able to catch teams slipping. And we had seen Clemson repeatedly slip, especially that LSU game, but even following that, where they're down to Troy for 3 quarters. So yeah, this is definitely one of the more predictable ones, but nonetheless, very impressive by Georgia Tech, Jack.
Yeah, 100%. And it was interesting to see that they're still ranked pretty low. It's weird to see that the AP poll is like really hesitant to rank teams like Mississippi State, who's still not ranked,
Right,
USC, Vanderbilt, and Georgia Tech, and USF, who should still be ranked. But it's weird that
right,
these teams still get kind of disrespected. Yeah, I mean Georgia Tech, they look great, and their schedule isn't too bad for these upcoming games. With Temple, Wake Forest, Virginia Tech, and Duke for their upcoming games. So I expect them to jump 100% in the top 15 in these coming games.
right. And then obviously that win doesn't have as much gravity after the LSU loss, and then really playing sloppy against
Mhm.
Troy, but nonetheless, very impressive showing by Georgia Tech. And then this was we had kind of they kind of proved us wrong here, where we had said like the game of the week was South Florida Miami, and that College Game Day should have been there. But regardless of the arguments you can make for that, this was 100% the game of the week. Maybe you could argue that it was the Texas A&M Notre Dame game, which we'll get into later. But this game, Georgia Tennessee, was really impressive. And I mean, in all facets, this game was really interesting. And normally, this game between Georgia and Tennessee, Georgia usually wins in a slow, defensive, low scoring game. And it was weird to see like the defenses really just took the day off as Georgia won 44-41 in overtime, Jack.
Yeah, I mean, this was a great game.
Right.
And yes, I think this was the perfect game to pick uh, for game day. So we were kind of wrong on that.
Right.
But yeah, um, yeah, this really lived up to the billing.
Right.
And you wouldn't really think so because Tennessee hasn't won a game against Georgia since 2016. So, and they still haven't. So, and you kind of knew, you saw that. I don't know if you saw that the kicker before he kicked in overtime. Um, you saw his face and you kind of knew he was going to miss it.
Oh, really?
Um,
Yeah.
and
Jeez.
yeah, and this is such a big moment. And there was people saying like that kicker saved Tennessee $50,000 because the fans didn't storm the field.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, they Tennessee
but
really gave this game
yeah,
away. They had Georgia on the ropes.
they
They
did.
were up big early. It really was almost looking like a blowout, but obviously you knew Georgia wasn't going to go away like that and came back in. But there was a key play where Tennessee was up by 8 points in the fourth quarter, and Georgia had a 4th and 8, and they just launch it to the end zone, bust in coverage, and all of a sudden it's a touchdown, and they get the 2 point, and now it's a tied game. Like, that was insane. I cannot I honestly,
Yeah.
even though as much as, impressive this is for Georgia, the amount of mishaps that like, Tennessee had this game. They had him on 4th and 8, and they let him score a touchdown. They had,
Hmm.
I think it was, like, a few chances, with a field goal to put him away where
Yeah.
it's like, as impressive that this is for Georgia, Tennessee really handed this one away. They had it, and they lost it, honestly.
They absolutely did. And this really surprised me because I expected Georgia to win a lot
Right,
handily. And I think this speaks volumes about just, I know Tennessee lost, but this really says a lot about how good their team is
right,
to stick in it with Georgia and how, like, kind of more lackluster Georgia is as a team. I know their schedules is it's going to be rough down the
right,
road for sure. And because they have Alabama, they have a bye, and then they have Alabama, Kentucky, Auburn, and then Ole Miss.
right.
So difficult stretch of games. so we could see them drop one. But yeah, I think last week we said Tennessee jumping because they did jump 7 spots last
Right.
week, but I think they absolutely deserved that 15 spot, but it was just jarring to see them jump. I think they already should have been 15, and just the way they did it was weird.
Right.
You know, they they beat ETSU and then they jumped 7 spots.
Right.
It didn't really make any sense. I think they already should have been that high, so they just forgot to put them that high, and then they moved them up. So I guess we really now we don't have a problem with Tennessee being there because they
Right.
absolutely deserve that spot, if not higher. But yeah, it was just very suspicious when we saw them jump 7 spots after beating an FCS school. So yeah,
Right. And yeah, they kind of got us on that one last week, but our main argument was just like you had them jump 7 spots when they hadn't really done much to prove otherwise that they because you had them pretty low in the rankings where all of a sudden they had this sudden jump where this is when they should have had the sudden jump after they played a competent opponent and
yeah,
did well and
right,
probably should have won. Then it's like, okay, you've proved yourself, you had a very nice showing against a better team. Now we'll jump you up. But well, that was our only problem with it. Not to say not anything bad because we kind of harped on Tennessee a lot last episode of this. But I
yeah,
mean, honestly, it
hmm
just it was just one of those things where we're like, well, they jumped so much that it felt it was unwarranted, but they definitely do deserve that number 15 spot, and they did show that they belong there at number 15. And I mean, probably
hmm
should have won this game. Pretty unfortunate for
yeah,
them that they lost, but yeah, definitely one of the better games of this week. And it was a really solid top 20 matchup that didn't disappoint. Unfortunately, we had one that definitely
yeah,
did in South Florida and number 4 Miami. This one was pretty unfortunate for the South
yeah,
Florida Bulls. They had done pretty well coming into
hmm
it, blowing out a ranked Boise State team, beating a solid ranked Florida team on the road. And this one was just rough because Miami was really ready for them, and they really just ran into a buzzsaw. And as much as this goes, okay, maybe let's slow down on South Florida. I think what we should really take away from this is like, man, like Miami is really good. What do you think, Jack?
I mean, yes, for sure. Like Miami had complete control of this game. Started out quick, 14-3, and then we had that massive weather delay. It was like 2 hours long, and then they came back, and immediately it was 28-6. So they just kind of did the same score again, but like they just were never in the game. It was insane. Like, and there was a couple missed calls early in the game that kind of like swung the momentum over. But I think even if those
Right,
calls go South Florida's way, like Miami, they just they never lost a step, and I think they're
right,
absolutely a contender and should be a lot higher than number 4, because their resume is, I mean, by the AP Bulls own admission. I know we probably don't agree that Notre Dame should be ranked, but that's a good win. And then Bethune-Cookman last week, and then South Florida, who's beat 2 ranked teams. That's the best resume in college football, I think. Um, so,
right,
and they look like one of the best teams. And I think Carson Beck is probably a front runner for Heisman, as he should be. But yeah, I mean, they were never in this game. I wouldn't count South Florida out because they're very resilient. Um, and I said before that they should still be ranked. I think they should teams like Notre Dame and Michigan, they should be ranked above.
right.
Um, but I mean, we
Yeah,
said it
I don't
before. We
know.
said it before last episode. We said one of these teams is going to get disrespected when one of them loses, and that's what South. That's what happened to
Right.
South Florida. I mean, hey, but like Alabama gets destroyed by Florida State,
Hmm.
and they move.
Right.
They're still ranked, and they beat 2 unranked teams, and they move to
Right.
14. And
Right.
South Florida has an even better resume, 2 ranked wins, and then they lost to the number 4 team in the country, and they're unranked. It doesn't really make any
Right.
sense.
Right, I know. And even by like the current AP, like what they think, Miami's ranked higher than Florida State. And honestly, Miami should be ranked a lot
Yeah,
higher. Where you look at those types of matchups where you look at what South Florida's done, where I know Boise State should have been ranked. They shouldn't have been ranked, but they blew them out. And then they beat an interesting Florida team on the road. And I know Florida was kind of a pretender, and maybe they should have been ranked that high. But you look at LSU. LSU played Florida at home and barely edged out a win where Florida threw 5
Right.
interceptions. Like, Florida's
No.
not terrible.
Yeah.
Florida's not terrible, and it's like LSU is the number 3 team in the
Hmm.
nation. Why are they doing about the same that, USF did and LSU got them at home? And despite Florida having so many turnovers, you still barely edge them out by 10? So it's like, I don't know why we're trying to discredit that win so easily. It's like, that's still a very solid win. And this was just a buzzsaw situation where Miami was so good, and they were really ready for this. They were at home. They had 2 weeks to watch South Florida's incredible like performances, and were really ready for
Hmm.
this game. And if anything, this is a lot better loss than what Alabama
Yeah.
did. Because Alabama, that Florida State game was terrible, and Florida State isn't ranked as high as Miami. I think Miami is a top 3 team in the
Mhm.
nation, and I know they're not ranked like that, but they definitely should be. And we'll get to it later, but it's like, in what way are Penn State and LSU outperforming Miami? They're not. That's the answer. They're
Yes.
not. Miami is incredible, and this was a great performance for them. And South Florida lost similarly the way Alabama lost against Florida State. Alabama has no resume. I mean, they beat Wisconsin. That's their best win. Like that, fine, sure. They beat Wisconsin, and we talk about and SEC stuff. A road SEC, and that's tough to come by. South Florida did it. They went on the road and beat Florida.
Yeah.
So it's like, understand wanting to drop their ranking. I get that, but I think we need to realize like Miami is an incredible team.
Yeah.
They were so incredible,
Yeah.
and they're even ranked. And here's the thing: is that this wouldn't be that as big of a problem, and I would be able to accept it more. But the fact that they continuously sneak Alabama further
Yeah.
up, Alabama's
I
14th in
know.
the country, Jack.
And
14th. What have they done to
they've done
deserve
nothing.
that?
They just beat two unranked teams after losing their first one to obviously Florida State. But yeah, UL Monroe, and then they just beat Wisconsin. So I don't get like they keep moving LSU, these and Ole Miss and Alabama up for really doing nothing. I mean, the thing is, my biggest problem with the top 10, I think, is probably Penn State and Illinois. With these preseason expectation coming in, I get that, but keeping those
Right.
teams that high when you have
Mhm.
on field like results is just
Exactly. Exactly.
so weird. And I don't get having LSU there because they had like two close games. I mean, LSU, their first one against Clemson, which Clemson's not that good. We know now. Louisiana Tech 23-7. That's
Right.
close. And then Florida LSU. You just said Lagway had 5 picks, and they still had a chance to win at home. So how are they above anyone? Like, how are they above Florida State, Oregon, Georgia, or Miami? I don't understand. I don't get or A&M.
Right.
All of those teams I would have
Right.
above. I don't. Yeah. So that's my biggest flaw. And then yeah, we'll get to Texas later, but yeah. Hmm.
Right. Because that's the problem is that it feels like that's a big reason why South Florida's really getting disrespected here. And we had kind of said that last week that they were ranked too low for their resume. And this is it was kind of it kind of sucked to watch that game and be like, oh shoot, like we might get clowned on for what we were kind of saying last week with South
Yeah.
Florida. But the reality is that was an incredible Miami
Mhm.
team. Miami really is
Yeah.
incredible. I think the AP poll is wrong. We'll get to that later, but I don't think they're the 4th best
No.
team in the league. They're better than that.
Yeah.
And South Florida, this is really tricky. And I know South Florida did get embarrassed, but not only was it on the road against one of the best teams in the nation, like, not only that, but South Florida has done stuff prior to this, like with on-field success. It really is just, I mean, we could even chalk it up to recency bias.
Yeah.
Because with Alabama, each week they kind of like sneak them up as like we try to forget, but it's because that fresh loss of South Florida that they just knock them out. And the main reason is because they get a preseason preconceived notion of how good a team is.
Yeah.
Because Alabama was ranked 8th before this season.
Mhm.
And it's like, yeah, okay, they lost. They got embarrassed by Florida State. We'll drop them down to 23. And then we'll go on with 19. And then up to 14. It's like, well, we said they were the 8th best team in the nation, so we got to keep that. It's the same thing with Illinois, where it's like, well, in all the preseason notions, we said they were, the 11th, 12th team in the nation. So they have to stay there. So they have to stay up there when they haven't, and that's what's really upsetting about this. And then all of a sudden, oh, Georgia Tech's good. Oh, Vanderbilt's good. And I feel like the AP poll has no idea what to do.
Yeah.
They really don't know how to do their
Yeah.
jobs. Jack, we were talking about last week, a reporter had Florida going up two
Right.
spots after losing to
Right.
South Florida. This week, I don't know if you saw this, Jack, but someone had Notre Dame at 10. How?
Yeah.
It's
Like this
embarrassing.
whole process is just we need to do a different way to do this top 25. I mean, and I think like yeah, with Florida moving like these people obviously don't watch the games and like you have a lot of like
Exactly.
athletics directors or fitness managers voting on these things who are obviously not watching the games because they can't because they're working for teams. Like we need to get actual like journalists working on this and like not making it open to anyone to just vote because you have stuff like
Right.
this to happening, you know? Uh Ole Miss
Right.
Alabama moving up
Yeah.
for no reason. Um and
Right. Right.
we'll
Oh,
we'll
we'll get
get
to
we'll
that
get to all
later.
of that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But at the end of the day, I know the CFP gets criticized a lot for how they rank teams, but even they're not this egregiously like stupid, quite frankly, with their
Yeah.
rankings. Like at least they're somewhat makes sense. I feel like the AP poll is just so out of touch,
Right.
and we'll hear more on that later. But honestly, it really is just embarrassing that these are the only like ranking metrics that we have, and that's like the official one. Like that's what's unfortunate.
Right.
But moving on. Moving on, we had Arkansas at number 13. What? Ole Miss. And Ole Miss has really struggled this year, a lot more than we expected them to. And they're ranked 13th, but don't let that fool you. They had a rough road test against Kentucky where they won 30-23. And I thought after that one that they would come back home and really take this next game more seriously against another SEC opponent about the same caliber as Kentucky, take it more seriously, play better, and especially with them being at home, I thought they were really going to have a much better performance. But they did about the exact same thing and barely beat Arkansas 41-35. So it's like, okay, like I'm not really that high on Ole Miss, but somehow the AP has them jumping up a bunch of spots because they barely edged out a not great Arkansas team at home. So I'm not huge on Ole Miss, especially after these last couple performances, but they haven't lost yet, so they haven't really dropped out of the rankings yet, but really not that high on Ole Miss after all these performances, Jack.
Yeah, I mean, like I don't get how they I mean they after they barely beat Kentucky, an unranked opponent, they moved up 3 spots. And now I don't understand moving them up 4. I don't I don't even get where that comes from because
Right.
barely beating Arkansas is not uh a great feat at all.
Right.
Like I don't know. I would definitely move Tennessee above Alabama, Ole Miss. Um Utah
Oh my
Utah,
gosh, yeah.
Texas
Well,
Tech,
Tennessee
Georgia
proved it.
Utah, Texas Tech, Georgia
Right.
Tech, and Vanderbilt should be way higher. I can't believe they're still at 20. Um South Carolina, I know
Right.
we didn't agree, but they were a number 11 team. And Mississippi State is somehow still not ranked after being the
Right.
number 12
Wait.
team,
Yeah.
Arizona State. Um, so right, I expect next week they play Tulane,
Right.
and
Yeah.
Tulane looks pretty darn good, and I would expect that would be one of my upset picks for sure.
Yeah, but for all we know, they'll knock them down to 25 and then slowly move them back up like we forgot. And moving on, number 10 Texas A&M at number 24. Number 24. Have they won a game? Notre Dame. Texas A&M won 41-40. This one was really awesome. And if you watch this live, it was really hectic. And Notre Dame, I don't think they should still be ranked because they're 0-2. I say let them earn their ranking. And I know they're saying like, oh, maybe they'll win out and they'll be 10-2. Well, they haven't done that yet. Give them a chance to earn their ranking. That's how I feel about this. But also, Notre Dame fans are probably going to say like they got robbed as well because there was a key thing on that last drive where Texas A&M needed a touchdown to win because Notre Dame had missed an extra point. They were only down by 6, right? And Texas A&M kind of got away with something in terms of officiating. I'm curious what you think about this, Jack, because Notre Dame. had done it was a bad penalty that gave Texas A&M like a first down. I know you say like in that situation, like, do you call that penalty? But at the end of the day, you know what? It was a penalty and it should have been called. But then on the game-winning touchdown by Texas A&M, there was a very egregious holding call that was the only reason Notre Dame didn't get a sack and stop that play. And it's like, well, you just penalized Notre Dame in the same situation, and now you're saying, oh, well, it's the last play, so we're not going. It's like, well, that kind of rubbed me the wrong way, especially since Notre Dame, like, it felt like it wasn't being called both ways, especially in that last moment. I'm like, that really changed the play, and the officiating kind of got in the way, and I just would have liked either like call it on both or call it on neither. But Texas A&M, like, they definitely earned this win. I mean, 41-40 is insane. I mean, this is a great, impressive win by them.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. This was a probably it's either this game or the Tennessee Georgia was my favorite game this
Right,
week, probably. But man, both of these, I would still say Notre Dame's a great team. Um,
right.
but I know Joel Klatt said they should still be ranked after going on to. Well, while I do agree those are both good losses, they shouldn't be ranked. Like you need
Right.
to win games to be ranked on the top 25, and teams like we just said, Mississippi State or like USC should definitely be higher.
Right.
Yeah, and yeah. But this was great, and I hate like when we
Right.
have calls like that because we should never be talking about officiating to end the games that good. But yeah, it kind
Right.
of rubbed me the wrong way too because that definitely could have changed the outcome of the game and could have given Notre Dame their first win. But yeah, I think Texas A&M is still they definitely they deserve that win
Hmm.
and they should be higher than 10. Um, I don't get putting them
Right.
below Texas and Illinois. It doesn't compute.
100%. Because what has Illinois done? What has Texas done? And even Texas, like, well, Texas, like, oh, they had a good loss against Ohio State. Well, they could have, yeah. That's what's really, because Texas has even played bad against opponents that they should easily be kicking around. But yeah, I mean,
Right,
honestly, Texas A&M should
right.
be ranked higher. And then number 20
They should.
Vanderbilt at South Carolina. This one was crazy because Vanderbilt always feels like they trash talk right before big games like this, and then they end up just getting blown out. Where when Vanderbilt had like talked so much trash about of South Carolina going into this one, if you remember, like years ago, and like in like a post game, it's like we'll show you how to play some SEC ball, like Alabama, you're next, and then just immediately lose by 50. I was kind of worried about that, but we actually kind of jumped the gun here. We had already started moving South Carolina down below Oklahoma, so
Yeah,
I kind of felt better because I was like, oh, we're kind
mhm.
of ahead of the curve here because South Carolina, not only were they at home, but they struggled to score any points. They really didn't show up and lost 31 to
Yeah.
7, Jack.
I mean, we should have. I mean, we did kind of see this coming because their first game against Virginia Tech, they were struggling even against them.
Right,
So I mean, like this was. I mean, and like with Vanderbilt, they played Virginia Tech and absolutely mopped the floor with them. So the writing was kind of on the wall. Um,
right,
and Vanderbilt should be way higher than 20. I don't get how their resume is
right,
worse than Alabama's because they beat a number 11 team. Alabama hasn't beat a ranked opponent yet. So
right,
I don't get how teams like this get disrespected, like Georgia Tech and Vanderbilt. Like they just don't want to put them on the poll at all. I don't understand. Like these teams have earned it, and Vanderbilt I expect to do definitely some damage. Their
right.
next notable game is
Yeah,
Alabama and LSU in October. But yeah,
that's gonna be tricky. Yeah.
mhm,
Right. And when
yeah,
you look at a game like this, South Carolina was number 11 and
yeah,
absolutely got housed. And this
yeah,
is a classic example of a team being ranked too high or just straight up getting blown out in a game that feels like it doesn't represent their record. Because a number 11 team in the country wouldn't play like that, where we start to realize, okay, like that's a great example of a pretender. So then when we look at college football as a whole, we can kind of start to poke and try to kind of predict like who are the next big like pretenders that can really like fall off like South Carolina did.
yeah,
And honestly, when we go into pretenders, I feel like a big one is Penn State.
Hmm.
That's what
Yeah,
I'm really interested to talk about because Penn State, not only have they not played anyone, but now they're going into Oregon, and like the Oregon, that's going to be an interesting game. But Penn State is ranked number 2. How have they outplayed LSU and Miami? How? It's just because in the preseason rankings they were ranked number 2 ahead of Ohio State, and obviously they're not anymore. Kind of, in my opinion, it was ridiculous that they were ranked above them in the first place.
yeah,
But they haven't moved at all, and it's like they're deadlocking them. And like, yeah, well, they haven't lost. It's like, yeah, well, they didn't have a chance to lose. They've played nobody. How are you saying that they're ranked higher than a team like Miami that blew out a South Florida team that had beaten 2 ranked teams and beat Notre Dame close, like, and blew out another school. So I don't know. I don't know. And even if you say LSU as well, like, what has Penn State done to warrant number 2? That's why I feel like they're the next like big team that's really going to fall off in a big way against Oregon. Because honestly, I don't see Penn State. Because well, we can think about this even overall. Because you look at a team like Oregon, and it's like they're ranked too low as well, but I understand because they haven't done much yet. Which brings the big question: what has Penn State done to still be at number 2? That's what's
right.
so confusing about the AP polls. Like Oregon's number 6. Like
Yeah,
they're still like holding off until they beat like a big team, like Georgia did, to really put them up there. Because Georgia's ranked above them now after beating Tennessee. I get that. What's stopping them from putting Georgia over Penn State, who has also done nothing? That's why there's like a lot of inconsistencies in the top 25. But I also think Penn State is a pretender, Jack.
yeah, I would say the same. Um, and I would definitely take Oregon to get the upset this week, just because I think they're a lot more proven, and they should be honestly number 8. I would put them. Actually, no, number 9, because Texas A&M has done more. They just haven't done anything. Like I get, I get when you want to do preseason rankings, you want okay, that's
Right.
fine, but having these teams stay doesn't make any sense um, to teams that actually have meaningful wins. And that's
Right.
why I think this is just totally inaccurate. And um, I want to see your top 25 again. I know last week I agree with a lot of it. So yeah,
Hmm. Right. Yeah. And this one, I mean, it's like you beat Nevada by 30, you beat FIU by 30, you beat Villanova by 40, and then they have a bye week, so they're going to play Oregon a few weeks from now on the 27th, where it's like they're tame with Oregon's ranking. Like Oregon isn't in that like upper level of teams like Miami, LSU, and Georgia because those teams have proven themselves. And I understand holding off on putting Oregon up there until that game. But what excuse do
yeah,
you have for Penn State? Is it just because they were ranked number 2 in the preseason? Not only like what have they done, but I mean, you just look at what other teams have done, and it's just like there's so many more impressive resumes where it's like, how do they build this much confidence in Penn State? I don't get it.
yeah. I mean, like you could take a lot of teams from the top, like Vanderbilt's done a lot more to warrant that number 2 spot. Same thing with Oklahoma. I mean, Oklahoma looks so much better. I mean, because they've actually played teams that aren't like high
Right.
school level. So, um, and I think it was interesting to pick that schedule for Penn State. And I mean, I think they're going to get the doors kind of blown off here. I know that's. I mean, they're still. I think they're still like a top 25 team. I'm not saying that, but top 2 is
Right.
kind of insane.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I 100% agree. And even though I think they're a solid team, I don't understand that high of a ranking. And now going into the next one, where this one might be a little controversial, number 12, Iowa State. This is my next possible pretender. Because let's look back at their resume. Let's see how it's aged. So they beat Kansas State by 3. What has Kansas State been up to over the past few weeks? Well, after they lost to Iowa State, they've lost to Army, they lost to Arizona, they barely beat an FCS school in North Dakota. So it's like, okay, you barely beat them, so that one's kind of not. as impressive anymore. And then it's like, okay, what else did you do? Well, you beat an FCS school. Okay, what else did you do? Well, you beat an Iowa team that that game was a really awkward game. And then this was really when we start sounding off the alarms. Was that Arkansas State game yesterday, Jack, where they
Yeah,
barely edged out a win by 8.
right. I mean, like Iowa, you can kind of excuse that because they did have a lot of stuff go their way, and it's a a trophy game. It's a rivalry game, so you're going to expect that stuff
Right,
to kind of happen. You're going to expect that to be close. But
right,
they should have beat Arkansas by at least like 30 or 40. And this is kind of where you got kind of start raising some questions about the Cyclones. Um, they are the only 4-0 team, and their
right,
schedule isn't too insane because they have Arizona, Cincinnati, Colorado, BYU, Arizona State, GCU, Kansas, and Oklahoma State. So they could definitely like I could see them maybe winning out. They're the hardest teams are like probably Arizona State and TCU. But I don't think they should be number 12 because I think they're still a good team, but that was definitely like
right,
um, kind of like where you had some questions about them because even their best one you could say is the Wildcats isn't
right,
looking great. It's aging worse every single day. So yeah.
right. And I mean, when you look at their schedule, Arizona doesn't look terrible. And with how they played against Arkansas State, we'll see if they win that one. But here's the stretch that I'm really worried about because they host BYU, and BYU is all of a sudden kind of looking scary. They're kind of lurking on the outskirts of the top 25. They haven't done anything to make that jump, but they certainly haven't done anything to not be there quite yet. So that could be tricky. And then you really look at that TCU game where TCU also looks solid. So
Mhm.
it's like, and then Kansas, and then like so. Even though it's not any ranked opponents, and even though like we had originally thought, oh, the toughest of their schedule was behind them with Kansas State and like Iowa, but like Iowa is solid, but Kansas State doesn't look like it. And then you look at that Arizona State game, and Kansas and Oklahoma State, they're probably going to win, but I could easily see them dropping at least one of these games. And I just feel like they're just overcome with the pressure that comes with that ranking, Jack.
Yeah, I mean, this is very like a cookie cake schedule, and I don't know if they're because if they're struggling with um, Kansas State and Arkansas State, I don't see them really winning out. And some of these teams are not that bad at all. I mean, on paper, it seems like an easy schedule, but I could definitely see them dropping a few. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I agree. And then the next one, I know you've been wanting to talk about this one a lot. Number 8, Texas. Number 8 feels too high for me, especially when we have a team like Texas A&M that just had a great win against Notre Dame. And Texas has looked rough. They looked rough in week 1, but you give them the pass. Okay, it's Ohio State, tough environment from Arch. I get it. But since then, they haven't looked great. They were fine against San Jose State, but then again, that's San Jose State. And then the other day against UTEP was not great. I mean, Arch Manning was missing easy throws. He had the pick. Like, it was bad, Jack. I'm not feeling good about Texas. What do you think?
I mean, yeah, not at all. I mean, like you could kind of excuse the first game against the Buckeyes because you're playing at one of the hardest places to play, and he
Right,
hasn't started a game. He's been sitting behind Ewers, obviously, but yeah, he was missing a lot of throws. I mean, we looked at that FCS school last week, and we kind of said, "Oh, maybe everything's okay." This one, he really struggled,
right,
and he had a couple rushing touchdowns, but he barely threw the ball. Like he did not seem really comfortable. And I would have A&M, like you said, above them, and I would have the Sooners.
right.
Definitely more proven, and have actually
Definitely.
beat ranked opponents. So yeah,
Right. Yeah, I definitely agree. And yeah,
they do have a good loss
yeah,
in the number one team in the country, but like you need to beat UTEP by a lot more to, and like again, they kind of struggled with them, and Arch hasn't looked like he's Manning, is what I'm
right.
saying.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
just his decision making, like it's not really there yet. And you'd think he sat there. on the bench for like a while, and people are really like apologizing to Quinn Ewers because a lot of Texas fans were not kind to him and like booing him and like begging like to start Arch.
Yeah,
And then with what happens
right,
when Arch has started is
right,
it's bad, Jack. Yeah,
right. I mean, Ewers got them to multiple playoff
right,
spots, and like, yeah, I think just the name Arch Manning, kind of like, oh, like we have to start this guy, and he's going to a big school like Texas.
right,
So people
right,
want to start him immediately. But yeah, give Ewers like a lot of credit because he obviously knew what he was doing there for
right.
sure.
Yeah, I agree. And especially like last year with Ewers, they weren't like, oh man, like it was great that Ewers brought us to the playoffs. They're like, no, Ewers is the reason we lost in the playoffs. Where it's like they really didn't give him enough credit, and we're really seeing that reality with Texas, and would not be surprised if not only were they exposed, they were kind of already exposed, but I think they could definitely be embarrassed down the line. Then really the next obvious one is Ole Miss. I am really low on Ole Miss, and they consistently continue to jump in the rankings, and they haven't played well. That's what's kind of confusing. It's like, yeah, they didn't lose, but they're not doing themselves any favors because I mean, they blew out Georgia State. Fine. I mean, that's not a good team, but okay. But then we talked about them a little bit, but just in this section, I just want to bring it up more and just kind of look over their schedule because I think it's another one of those pretenders where it's not even to their own fault because they haven't played that great. I think just the AP putting them at 13 is ridiculous. You know, Jack.
Right. I mean, yeah, we touched on like them and Alabama kind of raising. They went up 3 spots after beating Kentucky very close, and then another 4 after beating Arkansas. Um, and like I don't expect them to stay because they have Tulane this week, which that's
Right.
definitely one of my upset picks, and then LSU, Washington State, and then Georgia. So I would definitely put them in that pretender category, like you said, with Texas and Clemson and Penn State. Um,
Right.
but yeah, this team like is it's hard to beat even like Arkansas or Kentucky. Like I don't know how they're going to do against a team like Tulane or
Right.
LSU. So yeah,
Right. I think overall my biggest problem with this is like, and even though like maybe this is like an obvious thing to say, it's like yeah they're a pretender because they've played bad back to back weeks. It's like that's an easy thing to say, but it's more so just because they continue to jump in the rankings despite doing themselves no favors by playing rough. And it's like yeah they haven't lost, but like they're really not playing well. That's what's really surprising to me that they have this type of ranking.
I think they're moving that high is because Kentucky and Arkansas they're both SEC opponents, right?
Right. Yeah, not great ones
So
though. Yeah.
not great ones, but like I guess that's kind of their reasoning because that is still in the SEC conference and they're kind of barely scraping by those ones, but at least those are still in the SEC, I guess. I don't really get the
I
reasoning
guess.
though.
Right.
Um, and I would put honestly Mississippi State above them. I don't know how they're still unranked. Because they beat a ranked team and they've looked better than Ole Miss, for sure. I don't know how you feel about that.
Right. Yeah, I definitely agree. And it's just kind of surprising because it's like Mississippi State's an SEC team. I don't understand
Yeah,
why they're getting disrespected like that.
right. Same thing with
And
Vanderbilt.
right. And this is a really easy thing to say because Ole Miss has not played well, but the fact that they continue to rise in the rankings is really concerning because like you have Ole Miss at 13 and Alabama at 14. You're really gonna tell me Ole Miss is the 13th best team in the nation, Alabama's the 14th best? Like that's ridiculous.
No.
That's stupid.
You see, I
So
think
yeah.
like when we look at these, it's like brand recognition. Like it's not really
Right.
about the resume
Right.
anymore. It's about the brand. Like Texas,
Exactly.
like that brand of Texas that makes them a top 10 team, I guess, because they've done nothing to kind of warrant that. Same thing with Ole Miss and Alabama, because every team from the 20 to 15 range is definitely better. In Michigan, I don't know how they're still ranked. All they've done is just lose to a good Sooners team but to put them
Right.
above, like, I don't know, like Auburn and USC and Mississippi State and Missouri, I don't understand having them ranked. I don't know how you feel about that.
Right. Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree. And Michigan, that was a tough road game against Oklahoma, and I get that.
yeah,
But let's just talk about the disparity real quick.
right.
Michigan loses decently close against Oklahoma. They're all the way down at 21. They were lower, they went up a little bit. And then you look at a team who got blown out to Florida State, and they're sitting all the way up there at 14. That's where it's like the inconsistency, where it's like we're even saying like 21 is a little high, and they lost
Yeah,
close against the
yeah,
number 11 team in the nation, who should probably be number 10, or I mean, you could even say number 9 if we're saying they jump Illinois and Texas, because Oklahoma has definitely done stuff that would warrant that. So even
yeah,
then, it's like we're not like punishing teams equally. Where we're saying even like Michigan's underpunished, but you see the disparity of punishment because it's like, where is Arizona State? They're just
yeah.
gone. And you see where Alabama is after they got blown out. Arizona State lost close, and Mississippi State needed like a almost last second like a really long touchdown to win. Where it's like Arizona State's gone, Mississippi State isn't even here, and Alabama's sitting up there at 14. Jack.
Same thing with South Florida. I would have them. I mean, I don't understand kicking them out. I mean, they lost almost as bad as Alabama lost to the Seminoles. And
Right.
again, completely off.
It's just
Same thing with the
recency
Sun
bias.
Devils.
Right.
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 Right. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this last week I think was a little better than this week. This week really kind of takes the cake.
Right. I know.
'Cause
We didn't realize how good we had it, Jack.
I
Oh my
know,
gosh.
because
This
like
is a joke.
I know. I don't get, like, how do you raise Alabama that high? I don't. That really frustrates me. That really frustrates
Right.
because they. Oh my. Yeah. Jeez.
Right.
Yeah.
'Cause
Yeah.
right. Then last thing I was kind of wanting to do is just kind of go through this top 25 and kind of say like
Right.
what we kind of agree with and what really needs to be tweaked because I think they're one for one though because Ohio State is the number one team in the nation. I think that's a good one, and then
Mhm.
from there on out, it just gets so much worse, Jack.
Right. Like we touched on Penn State. They should. I think if you put them in the top 10, you probably need to put them at 10. I don't think they can go any
Right.
higher. Um, and yeah, just on-field success hasn't been there for Penn State like it has for these
Right.
other teams. Um, so and then LSU, um, we touched on they've kind of like kept it close, and they've with
Right.
every team they played. Um,
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
yeah, with Clemson, Louisiana, and then uh, with Florida. So
Yeah.
and Clemson doesn't look very good. Florida also doesn't look very good. I'm surprised. I wanted to say something about game day this week is it's going to Miami, and it's going to be against Florida. And I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how you thought
Really?
about that because there's definitely some other games you could pick um, to go there.
I don't get
Because we
that at all. Huh. This is the week they choose to go to Miami, really?
right, right. I know we were talking about last week where it should have been Miami against South Florida. Um, but when you look at these games like Texas Tech, Utah, that's absolutely better than going Miami, Florida.
Right.
Um,
They couldn't do that one though, because Big Noon Saturday's going there. But yeah, that's probably the game of the week.
oh right, yep, and like Michigan, Nebraska, that's a good matchup. Tulane, Ole Miss,
Hey, there's an
South Carolina, but yeah,
There's an SEC matchup here with number 22 Auburn and number 11 Oklahoma. You can almost argue that, like, kind of surprised that they wouldn't pick that one. And then number 9 Illinois against number 19 Indiana. That's a huge game because
that's
that's going to determine
yeah,
who's the number 4 team in the Big Ten, pretty much.
yeah, that's crazy that they wouldn't go there.
Right.
Yeah, it's interesting that they. I don't know how they came to that conclusion. Because Florida really, ugh, they lost 2 games in a row and they do not look great at all.
Right. And their schedule only
I
gets
mean, yeah,
worse. So yeah, Florida,
right.
that's rough. And
And I
then
expect
yeah.
I expect this to not be close at all. Like, if Miami smacks around the Bulls, like, how are the Gators gonna do? Like, I do not like. It might be even worse. And this defense, like, they look really good against that. Like, we were talking about how good Byron Brown is. Like, they're gonna
Right.
have a field day with Lagway.
I
Um,
know. It's
yeah.
yeah,
So
that's really ridiculous. Yeah, I don't know. It's like this is
right.
the week they're going to
Yeah.
Miami. It's like, all right, and I mean, why not wait for another week because Miami's going on the road at number 7 Florida State. Like, I guess they want to go to
Oh,
I guess they want to go to
that's
Miami,
a
and
better matchup.
they probably
Yeah.
will be at that game next week. To be honest, I mean, I would hope so. Number 4 Miami, who should be number 2, against number 7 Florida State. Huge matchup, and it's like, oh, if they really wanted to go to Miami, they had a great chance to go there last week. So this, I mean,
Right.
it is kind of a letdown, and now they're kind of late to it, and now they're going there when there's better matchups. It's like, well, you missed your chance when it kind of made more sense. So yeah, I mean, I would have even been like more okay with like Texas A&M and Notre Dame last week, where it's like, yeah, I don't know. And like Auburn, Oklahoma, that's huge. Illinois, Indiana, that's huge. And I get Miami, and they're great. And we've talked about them a lot on this program about how great they are. But I mean, this isn't going to be a good game. Where if you take all like all the arguments of going to Tennessee and Georgia last week, right? And it's like, oh, well, it's going to be a better game. It's huge, like huge matchup, and like this really doesn't have that because Florida's not going to compete with Miami, to be honest. I mean, if they do, that's I mean, that would surprise me. But this one doesn't really feel close, Jack.
No, it doesn't feel close at all. And we just touched on like how good this Miami team is, how like well-rounded they are, and they have one of the best resumes in college football. So
Right,
that's the next team, number 4, Miami. We just said they should absolutely be number 2. Um, after last week, like absolutely dismantling the Bulls. So yeah.
right. Yeah, I think it's probably
Yeah.
Ohio State 1, and then Miami, and then LSU, and then Georgia, and then it's probably like Florida State, then Oregon, and then Penn State, and then like, I mean, even that, I don't know, because Penn State, do you really put them ahead of Texas A&M? That's where it's like,
I wouldn't.
why are they number 2? And it's only because they
Right.
haven't done anything to be dropped. The committee, the AP poll is like so resistant, and I know like there's several voters, but it feels like they're all just really not watching games. Where it's like, what has Penn State done to be ahead of LSU, Miami, and Georgia? And then you start moving them down. It's like, do they really look better than Oregon? That just beat a Big Ten team
No.
handedly, that blew out Oklahoma State 69-3. Do they really look better? Because if we're kind of talking about two teams there that haven't really played anybody. Oregon, of course, played a Power Four team. Penn State did not, and Oregon dominated. So how is Penn State overplaying them? Going to slide them down. How are they overplaying Florida State? Florida State's done great, and that Alabama when they blew them out. What has Penn State done to warrant being above them? And then I think Texas is the only one where you can kind of make an argument that Penn State's done more, just because I mean Texas is also looking suspect. Then it's like honestly, I think that's the biggest issue is that it's not just SEC bias. It's not just Big Ten bias. It's just overall uh preseason preconceived notions and their resistance to move down teams before they really like actually lose. And then when they do lose, they either like really have it easy or they just completely get dropped out unnecessarily. That's really the issue is that it's just wrong. I think that's the takeaway from this is that this is not the correct ranking. It's just bad.
Right. And yeah, and we already touched on like, and they just do not want to move teams up who actually have like on-field success against great teams like Mississippi State, Georgia Tech, Vanderbilt,
Right.
Arizona State. Um, right. And yeah, like just all those teams mentioned have a better resume than Alabama, Illinois, Penn State, and Texas. Like, so
Right.
yeah,
And even just you can maybe start to make some of those arguments with the teams like further down, but like in what world is Penn State better than Miami right now? That's just
no world.
It's
No
it's
one.
it's blasphemous. It really is. And I think they're
Yeah,
probably gonna get embarrassed by Oregon, but, I mean, that's not gonna
yeah,
be a terrible loss because Oregon's a great team, but it's like they shouldn't be at number 2 in the first place, and they're doing this with Oregon where they're like, "We'll keep you at 6 until you prove yourself, until you win that type of game, then they'll start to go up above those types of teams." Penn State's already there. How is Penn State already up
right.
there?
And, like, Oregon last week was number 4, and after this week, they moved him down to 6 after Georgia beat Tennessee and Miami beat South Florida. So if you're moving them down, why not move Penn State down?
Right.
Because you obviously understand, like, okay, Miami and Georgia, they have better resumes, so they
Mhm.
deserve to
Right,
be above Oregon.
right,
Why not be the same with Penn State? I don't, I, I don't, yeah, I don't get it.
right. Because even just looking at this, like, how is Penn State better than Oregon, who's like way further down? Where it's like they'll put Miami and Georgia above. And we look back at week 1, where they really had this establishment where when Miami played that great and LSU played really great, they were number 9 and number 10, and they had those huge jumps. LSU jumped to 3, and despite them kind of falling off, and despite Clemson falling off, they continue to hold their ranking over a Miami team. Like, I don't know. Um,
Yeah,
I think it's just gonna take a while, and I think the AP just really, I think they just don't know. I think that's the biggest, like, problem with this. They really don't know what's going on, and, yeah, I mean, this is just rough, and, maybe, like, a lot of people say, like I saw something that said, like, the AP poll shouldn't be allowed to do anything until week 6 before they, like, really start to figure things
right.
out, because it really is just, like, they're drunk, Jack. They're drunk.
Yeah,
They don't know they don't watch the games, they don't know what's going on. And I mean, this is just this really is an embarrassment because it feels like every week they hit an all-time low, Jack.
yeah. I mean, it kind of just keeps getting worse because, yeah, keeping those teams who, again, don't have on-field success don't doesn't make sense. But yeah, so continuing, we got so we touched on Oregon, Florida State, Texas. We already said should be out of the top 10. Because again, they lost to the number 1 team in the country, but
Right,
their 2 other wins really haven't been uh, as
right,
impressive. So yeah,
right. And you can even make the argument that the only reason why they were close against Ohio State is because Ohio State was so reserved with their quarterback because they didn't want to make any mistakes to lose the game. Where you see, like, Julian Sain is really taking off against these lower ranked opponents, and Arch is still playing, I mean, better, obviously, because that's not Ohio State's defense anymore. He's playing easier defenses, but it's not taking the type of jump that it should. So yeah, 100%. And then we continue to go down. Oklahoma's still low, I'd say,
yeah,
because Texas and Illinois are ahead of Texas A&M and Oklahoma. What have they done to warrant that? And then Ole Miss at 13. That's a joke. 14, Alabama. Like, that's the most obvious thing. It's like, right. It's like, yeah, sure.
yeah,
Right. Like, it's just I don't know how they came to that.
right. It's not like
Really, really
I
surprising.
think
Right.
they saw that win against Wisconsin as like really impressive, but it absolutely isn't. Like we knew. I think most people knew that they were going to win that game pretty handedly. And
Right.
Wisconsin's not. They're not ranked or anything, so I don't. Yeah, moving them up 5 spots um, doesn't it doesn't make sense. Like, how are you going to put them above Tennessee? Like, they have a better
Right.
loss and they look better than them. Um,
Right.
and like Utah, Texas Tech, Georgia Tech, like all those teams, and Vanderbilt too, all look better. And Vanderbilt actually has a ranked win, something that Alabama and Ole Miss don't have. So, right. Um,
Right.
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, the top 25, it really does just feel like rage bait at this point.
yeah,
Like, they're doing this on purpose because 'cause they're trying to get a reaction, they're trying to get more clicks, they're trying to get, more news from it, where I feel like that's kind of, the reality of a lot of, like, sports media, where it's, like, making, like, outrageous takes just, like, to get traction, just to get attention, and I feel like that's where the AP poll is now, because you can't tell me with a straight face, Alabama as the top 14 team in the nation. Now, Tennessee, even though we didn't think they should have jumped up there quite yet, they had a really great prove-it game against Georgia where they really should have won. How has Alabama shown that they're better, or Ole Miss? I don't know how you rationalize that.
Yeah.
And then Utah and Texas Tech, they're pretty close, but they probably should be higher as
Yeah.
well. And then Georgia Tech, they didn't know what to do with Georgia Tech, so they just stuck them in there.
Right. It's like,
And
yeah,
yeah, Indiana, yeah,
these teams, they just don't know it because they're like, oh my gosh, that's another good team. Like that's kind of how it felt like putting like last week with South Florida. Like, oh, we don't really want to put them in,
right,
but I guess we have to. But if they lose this week, we'll take them out. Like
right,
if Georgia Tech lose, we'll absolutely take them out
right,
immediately. But keep moving Alabama and Ole Miss up. That'll be good. Yeah. So yeah,
right.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, and then yeah, they didn't know what to, they and same thing with Vanderbilt. They're like, oh, like I guess we'll stick them at 20. Sure, it's like
Yeah.
really silly. And then Michigan, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. I
And
already
then
touched on
yeah,
Michigan.
Auburn and
Yeah.
Missouri, right? And then Auburn and Missouri continue to go up after some more unimpressive wins.
Right. I guess Auburn.
Where's Mississippi State?
Right. Right. I think Auburn makes a little more sense because they beat Baylor, who beat SMU, who was ranked.
Right,
Um,
right,
I'm
yeah.
not too
And
mad
then
about.
Missouri beat Kansas
Yeah, I'm not too
twice.
mad about Missouri either. Not as mad as I was last week. But yeah,
Right.
exactly. Mississippi State.
Yeah. And those teams aren't bad. Like
No,
those teams are
no,
solid.
yeah,
And that's no shade because those teams are good
right,
teams. It's just like Mississippi State went there and they beat Arizona State and they played very well against the rest of their schedule. That's what's really strange is because Mississippi State beat like what you said, like you were saying by your own admission, was the number 11 team in the nation in Arizona State, and they beat them, and they're not here. And then Missouri beats Kansas, and Auburn beats Baylor, who beat SMU. SMU's completely gone from the rankings. We probably won't see them again. Yeah, but we'll see. But now those teams are ranked like so Auburn beating a team that beat a ranked team is more impressive than Mississippi State directly beating a team that you said was better
yeah,
than the team that Auburn indirectly beat. That's where it's like right. And it's nothing against them, but it's just like how do you say that's more impressive? It's like where is Mississippi State? We're still waiting for them to make an appearance. It's like at least with South Florida, they were just like, oh, I don't know, we'll stick them at 18. At least with Georgia Tech, they're like, oh, we'll stick them at 18. At least with Vanderbilt, they're like, oh, we'll stick them at 20. It's like, where is Mississippi State, Jack?
right. I mean, all they did just beat a an FCS school, but I mean, man, that Arizona State win, um, that's like
Well, Tennessee jumped 7 spots after beating an FCS
right,
school. So it's like,
right,
yeah,
exactly. Um, but yeah, like I don't get like how that they have teams that beat like Arizona State was the number 12 team in the country, and Mississippi State beat it, and then Vanderbilt just beat number 11, South Carolina. But yeah, but I'm more surprised at Mississippi State because they didn't even rank them, and
right,
it's just surprising that, and they really didn't want to stick USC in there, which I was surprised because like USC is like pretty big football school and they have a lot of history. So I'm glad that they're in there, but definitely not under Notre Dame. Like I
right.
think
Who's yet to win a
yes,
game?
so like
Right.
they're great losses. I think they're gonna like be fine. I know like that early bye kind of hurt them a little bit. I think,
Yeah, I agree.
but but they looked better in the Texas A&M game because they actually like were competing against them, other than the Miami game where they kind of came back, but it was too late. But yeah, I mean they got to be off the rankings. Come on, like I
Right,
c- I just I still can't believe like you said someone had him at number 10. Um, I like just the brand is so strong for like Texas,
I
Ole Miss,
know.
Alabama, Notre Dame that they just can't take them off. But they'll take you South Florida and they'll never put Mississippi State on and Arizona State and South Carolina. Oh, you're gone. Yeah,
Right, Jack SMU. and Arizona State, after losing, they're just in the shadow realm. Like, they're gone.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Alabama's sitting at 14, who had a very similar loss. So it's like,
Yeah.
what? It certainly doesn't line up, and it certainly doesn't make sense. Where it's like if you just straight up banish teams once they lose and lose bad. I mean, SMU lost very close. Like Arizona
Right.
State lost very close. Alabama got absolutely embarrassed, and they're number 14. And the other teams we probably won't see again in here.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And like, I think you were touching on this last week, like, um, at Auburn getting credit for beating Baylor, which I think that's a great win. But if you're going to move them up for beating them, which I think that is a good win,
Right.
then having SMU completely off really doesn't make sense because they did lose to, by your own admission, is a good win, Baylor. So yeah, kicking, yeah, SMU, Mustangs, and Arizona State, and not having still Mississippi State not being on there just kind of rubs me the wrong way.
Right.
Um,
Because if you
and
think
I
about it,
think,
like it's
yeah,
like Auburn, like
like they're
Auburn's not
really
a
good.
terrible team. Auburn's not a terrible team, but when you compare resumes, you're saying this Auburn team, a team that beat a team that beat the number 16 team, is better than a team that just straight up beat the number 11 team. That's really what's
Yeah,
strange here.
right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah,
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, there's tons of gripes you can make all throughout. Um,
yeah,
but despite these horrendous rankings, the college football season has still been pretty great. And
yeah.
even though we've
It
had
has.
a lot of gripes, even though we've had a ton of gripes with the rankings this week and last week, the games have not certainly not disappointed. And I think the season's going to continue to really be exciting. And even though the rankings don't really live up uh, to how great the games have been, it's still been a really great season, Jack. And I don't think that's going to stop anytime soon.
Right. No, absolutely. And it'll be interesting if this is trend continues with SEC teams. Unexpected SEC teams losing each week because the first week was Alabama getting destroyed by the Seminoles. Second week was
Right.
Florida losing to South Florida, and then third week was South Carolina losing to Vanderbilt. So, I mean, there's some teams that we think are unproven that I think
Right.
could drop games like
Right.
um,
Yeah.
yeah, like Missouri facing South Carolina. South Carolina could take down Missouri. I mean, South Carolina I think is still a good team.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
so that could definitely, yeah. And Ole Miss against Tulane, I already mentioned that, yeah. So, but next week is shaping up to be a great week as well. We got a lot of good matchups.
Right. And week 3 was a great week, and we don't expect it to stop anytime soon as college football continues to get better and better. And this is certainly going to be a great season, Jack.
Yeah, 100%. This has been great. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, of course. Hope to have you on again. And this college football season is really shaping up to be a great one. And obviously, I mean, we could go on and on about the rankings, but the games have been great. The atmospheres have been electric, and it's been so great to have college football back in all of our lives. This is the Ben Buzz starring Benny King. Thanks for tuning in.